Oh! What are you doing, dude?
Oh, is it pulled a? It's pulled a fan to the side of it. Yep. I've got a torch in there.
Okay, so it's now Sunday morning, and last night was an experience to say the least. We ended up wrapping up about 12:30 last night, and we didn't blow anything up. It still all works. Yet. So yeah, dry ice was interesting, very interesting. It was a pretty steep learning curve because I was trying to manage the dry ice, make sure the insulation was all good. We had running the Kingpin cooling heater plate on the back, which was kind of working against us a little bit. So I need to investigate that a little bit more to see why. It was just heating up the socket just too much, and we were struggling to come down to temp. So I had to cycle it on and off to let the pot get down to temp. The CPU sort of got to 5.4 gigahertz. I did a couple of 3D Mark 11 runs, a few Cinebench runs, and it was sort of just given a few issues. When I sort of pulled the insulation off, straight after the dry ice was all gone, I noticed there's a little bit of ice like right down near the socket. So clearly I didn't insulate properly, so it could have been a little bit of condensation or ice giving me the errors. But other than that, it was really enjoyable to go sub-zero. The Mars 2s were good, except this is the first time I've actually run them properly. And one thing I've noticed, if anyone remembers the GTX 590 fiasco, they basically locked out voltage control on all GTX 590s. It was only a few months after they released the 590 because they started blowing up due to their poor VRM. Unfortunately, these cards seem to have got the same treatment because technically they're a 590, even though they're fully unlocked GTX 580 cores. So I had no voltage control on these cards. So they only did like 862 core. I was hoping to at least do like 900 to 950 cores. Didn't get there.
Which is particularly disappointing considering they are a limited edition card. They were worth...
Well, 2,400 brand new in Australia each. Not that's what I paid for them, but they were $2,400 Australian dollars when they first came out. And yeah, so it was a bit of disappointment. Again, it was just something I wasn't aware of. There was basically all the hardware we ran Saturday and Friday, the last couple of days. We'd never run it before. So,
more of an education weekend than an overclocking weekend.
Yeah, it was basically to learn about the process, to go sub-zero and everything else. So it would have been nice to actually, get up there and set some records, or at least get high enough to validate properly. But in terms of dry ice goes, yeah, it's really good. It's not as scary as everyone thinks. And when you're using older hardware, besides the graphics cards, it's not too bad if something lets go.
Quite interestingly, we were running 2 PSUs on this setup, just with the amount that the Mars were going to...
Yeah, well, I thought I'd be able to overclock these to a point where they would actually be pushing well over 1,000 watts, but because I couldn't push them, we didn't get that way. So we ended up removing one power supply and just running the Thor, which was completely fine. So the highest it was 970 watts, but that was mainly GPU. If these were running, 950 cores, they would be nudging about 1,100, 1,150 watts just for these, plus everything else. So if everything was running 100%, definitely we would be nudging that 1,200 watt mark. I didn't manage to get the Aries 3s on the bed because we just ran out of time. Yeah. So I'll save them for another day. But other than that, I think we'll just go and get some more stuff, and we're going to start overclocking.
Empty the bucket, refill it with ice.
Yeah, so we'll go do probably a 3-hour session and see if we can actually get up the leaderboard a bit more. So I apologise for the noise of my rig, but we're just going to give the AM4 platform another run. I'm really going to stretch the legs of the Silicon Power RAM. It is Samsung VDI 3200 CL15, but I just want to tighten up the timings a little bit, give it a bit more voltage, and then see if we can get this Ryzen 1700 to 4.1, 4.2 gigahertz. So it's come to the end of the weekend, and yeah, it was somewhat successful. We managed to explore each of the overclocking scenarios that you might encounter, whether it be water, ice bucket, or dry ice, and we didn't kill anything, so that was a big plus. I didn't manage to get my AM4 rig working as well as I hoped. The silicon power ram worked really well actually. It held its frequency and timings really well. I actually brought the timings down a little bit as well, but it was just the CPU itself. I was just trying to push it past that 4 gigahertz mark, but because it was a Ryzen 1700, just didn't like it very much. The Poseidon as well surprised me. I thought it was going to clock quite considerably higher, but I gave it the shunt mods, and I actually put on a Strix XOC BIOS this morning, but it needs to be colder. Like, it was still during benches, I think it was hitting like 40C, but it just needs to be colder to get anything. So it was maxing out about 2120, but it was, in terms of 3D Mark Fire Strike, ended up getting 20,030 points. Yeah, 24,030 points, which is pretty decent, which is 4,000 points over my best record to date. Luke's ice bucket rig went pretty well again this morning and got his highest score.
And managed to take fourth with 19,733.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So there's still more room to move in that too. It's just unfortunate we're out of time, so I'm going to continue playing with it, and I'll see if I can get top of the leaderboard there.
Yeah, like I said, it all takes time. Unfortunately, we sort of came into this weekend a little bit blind because I hadn't tested any of the hardware. I'd never actually run the Mars 2s, and when I found out that NVIDIA had actually disabled voltage control altogether on all GTX 590s, even though that's, in a league of its own, I couldn't, raise the voltage at all. So the cards themselves were pretty well pointless. You can't sort of raise it. And then I had one core that was spiking about 30 degrees more than the others, so I dare say I've had thermal paste let go. So that was the end of that. But all in all, it was a good learning experience, especially for Luke. We got him out of his comfort zone, which is good. Threw him straight into ice bucket overclocking, which is hours of fun. Dry ice is definitely, Sub-Zero is just in a league of its own, and it's something that you don't jump into lightly. But
no.
By the same token, if you read and listen to, there's lots of overclockers in Australia that have been giving me the heads up, and you watch videos and you read stuff, and you got to be prepared to lose stuff, and if you lose stuff, then that's all part of the game. It's literally like drag racing for computers, and if it lets go, it lets go. That's the nature of the beast. But all in all, it was a success, besides Luke's internet, which is back up to 100 megabit a second today, by the way.
Right when we don't need it.
So thank you, Telstra. So big thank you to Silicon Power for supplying the SSDs, the RAM, and also the memory cards. And big thanks to Asus AU, who gave us this Thor PSU to use for the weekend. I'm going to be doing a full unboxing and review on this power supply, as well as all the Silicon Power gear that has been supplied for this weekend.
If you guys are interested in knowing a little bit more about the ice bucket thing, we've dabbled in it a little bit and really put in a bit of research now as to the right and wrong things to do. So if it's something that you are interested in seeing, maybe a video dedicated to ice bucket, a video dedicated to like the pot and exactly how you get that thing set up, then let us know in the comments.
Yep, definitely subscribe to the channel. Watch this space, because we are going to be doing quite a few things this year in terms of Quastech. So if you liked this video, give us a like. If you didn't like it, you know what to do. We'll see you all on the next video.